Alright, what's going on, you guys? It's your boy 3 Stacks in this thing, baby, representing Team Kings of Games, and today I'm coming at you guys with an update for Cubics. Now, this deck is not the best deck in the world, honestly, and really, as much as, it should be a good deck because it kind of like was like a movie thing, like, it should have some sort of plot armor, but no, they just continue to make terrible cards for this deck. It does deserve better support than it's gotten, but it just recently got some new support in Dual Overload in the form of Cubic Dharma, Cubic Casualty, and Ascension. Ascension's terrible, just like VJOM is. A lot of cards that specify VJOM, well, a majority of them, or I would say more than half, really do suck, and VJOM sucks itself. I really wish they would have made this deck better, but this deck does have an insane boss monster named Crimson Over the Dark Cubic Lord, and he's pretty much the savior of the archetype. Like, he's the only reason why this deck has viability, and it's only against certain decks. Like, he can just run over combo decks, like when you play pins, but when you play against backrow decks, there can be struggles if you don't open the right cards. This deck is it's tailored to turboing him out, even if you go first, because he's a decent card. And you just want to try to OTK your opponent as fast as possible. And it's a really cool OTK. It's pretty cheesy. It's not that difficult to pull off, and it does get free wins. It does catch people off guard. So I would say ultimately it's worth it if you want it for funsies. If you want to play this deck competitively, you have to put a lot of work into picking up specific staples. This deck does need to play like Nibiru, for example, Ash, if you want to play at a YCS level event. You need like imperms and stuff like that, because this deck just won't be able to just perform exceptionally every single time. I'm just being honest with you guys, but this deck is incredibly fun, and when you get paired against the right matchup, you get really lucky and you just get free wins. I do have this build is tailored to also trying to protect him at the same time, so you'll see the list when we get there, but it's pretty aggressive going first or second. It's just, unfortunately, that this is like the best card that you can make most of the time. So let's go ahead and get started. 3 copies of Crimson Nova, the Dark Cubic Lord. The boss monster of the deck. He's unaffected by activated monster effects whose original attack's less than or equal to him. So this is why the deck is good, honestly. Like, if the deck ever was gonna see any time or any shine, it would be this is the card that is like he's gonna carry the whole deck basically. The deck does have an incredible normal summon in the form of Duja, the Meteor, basically the Meteor Cubic Vessel. He can dump any cubic card, so he's like the best normal summon of the deck. He gets you quicker access to Lord. A lot of your spells and traps have incredible graveyard effects that allow you to banish them to turn their scent. So he has good synergy with the trap as well, where you can link climb and just kind of loop Dujas over and over and over. But no matter what link monster you end on, ultimately you still want to make sure that Lord's there. So you get lucky sometime and you have decent turn 1 boards, but this deck's way better going second, honestly, and you'd rather just try to OTK your opponent. But it's not the end of the world if you have to go first, is what I'm saying. The next best normal summon in the deck is Summoner Monk. It just gets you access to Duja. I play a ton of spells. I don't mind discarding for cost to have a chance to get to a Duja. This is a terrible card. Vijam the Cubic Seed. It's a terrible card. It's horrible. I wish it had an effect that was like reveal it, discard it, and take control of one of your opponent's monsters. Something good, but Vijam sucks, and it's more terrible because there's certain card effects that have to revolve around him, so you have to have him somewhere. So you have to play him in your deck if you want to play Cubics, basically, and he's a terrible card. Most of the time, you just draw him as a name to reveal for Lord. I play 1 copy of Garagaya. 1 copy. Now, these cards are actually incredible. The Emperor and the Behemoth, these cards are incredible. Garagaya can win you some games in time, and its effect, you really don't play the lineage of royalty for you to even resolve its effect. It's just a better name, and it does burn on summon. But these cards are incredible. When you Duja loop, these are cards that you want to search and end on. Because this card will, even go in second, it'll gain 3,000 attack, and it can attack 3 times. This card's gonna have 2,400, and whenever they float, if they get basically, like when they're properly summoned, and your opponent, basically they hit the grave, you get to special summon 3 cubic monsters. Okay, let me just read to you. It's very, very broken. Okay, so if this card in your possession is sent to your graveyard by opponent's card, battle or card effect, doesn't matter. They just basically have to send it to grave, battle or card effect. You don't even have to destroy it. They can just send it to your grave. You can target 3 cubic monsters in your grave, special summon them, then add a cubic card from your deck or your graveyard to your hand. That clause is the same for him, the way they float. So once you get them on the field, if your opponent sends them to the graveyard by any means necessary, by them sending them to the graveyard, you special 3 cubics, which would normally be 3 Dujas. Then you search any cubic card, which will normally be Lord. And you're just going to be able to kill your opponent next turn. You use the Dujas to dump some traps if you had any more left in your deck to protect yourself from multi-Ks. Or you just dump some Karmas and Waves and stuff, and it's just really, really good. So this is all basically the standard lineup for your cubics that you want to play. Now, I do play some board breakers. I played 3 copies of Levianeer. If you open with their standard combo, it's really easy to summon this out, and you can do it banishing lights and dark, which means you can break boards. It does have incredible interactions in this deck. It's one of your other pseudo win conditions. It just allows you to push. And also, resummoning a Duja isn't the most terrible thing ever. I play some Kaijus. This should be 3 copies of Gamma Seal, but I only have 1. These, just pretend that these are Gamma Seals, basically. And it should be 3 copies of Gamma Seal. You don't ever want to play a Kaiju in this deck that Lord can't run over without a wave. So you should play 3 Gamma Seals. So this is supposed to be 3 Gamma Seals. I just only have 1, but pretend that these are 3 Gamma Seals, and that's what you should play. It's 3 Gamma Seals. He's the smallest Kaiju. He's the easiest one to run over, so you can attack again, and hopefully do the burn damage in the end phase to kill your opponent. I played 2 Saruvis, the Ancient and Ascendant, because Lord is already unaffected by monster effects, but if they impermanence him, your OTK is over. Like, it's literally over, and you can't call by an imperm. You can call by a Veiler, which, you know, it literally doesn't matter because it doesn't affect them, but you really can't stop imperm without this card. Like, you can play like Red Reboot or, you know, Dinko Seka if you feel ballsy, but honestly, this is a little bit better because it also protects them from Forbidden Chalice. It protects them from, you know, certain interactions too. Like, it's a better protection because it also helps Duja to push through imperm as well. But yeah, normally, like, this card, if it gets impermed, you can't really do much, and that's kind of ending your turn. So that's the main reason that you want to play this card. And also, it's a light to fuel your Chaos Dragon Levianeer. And that's going to be it for the monsters. I'm going to get to the spells. The spells is really where the spice is, you guys. There's some incredible spells in this deck. First off, 3 Fool's Barrel Goods. This is literally the best spell in the deck. It's anything you practically want it to be because all the cubic spells have incredible graveyard effects. Even their trap, Unification. Like, if you open Unification plus Seed, and you have like Gaia, for example, you could just dump the trap, normal Seed, send them off, summon Gaia, chain block, and then special out a Duja from that because the trap just literally banishes itself if a cubic leaves the field, and you can just special. The Karma on activation, it just boosts a cubic for 800 for each Seed that it sends from deck to grave, which is terrible also unless it's on Lord. But most importantly, its graveyard effect lets you banish it to search a cubic monster. And that's what's going to fuel your Foolish Barrel Goods so that it can be a 1-card Duja. And Duja's pretty nice in this deck. I played 3 copies of Dharma. Not only is it an incredible name for Lord, but it actually has a great on-field effect and a great graveyard effect. So this deck has somewhat recursion, but it never really had recursion before then. So this is a nice addition to the archetype. We have 3 copies of Wave. This is one of the best cards to open for you to do your OTK. You want to summon Lord, activate this, target one of your opponent's monsters, and targeting him, you're going to have them and boost him. If you play against Pendulums and they just have a bunch of monster negates, you can easily just kill them with this and Lord, because they won't be able to negate Lord, and this will just be able to just stop plays. And also, you can banish it from grave, and you can put cubic counters on your opponent's monsters. Monsters with cubic counters are pretty useless. Most of the time, they just end up being leak fodder after that. So this is a great card. For more of a tech card, but it's also really incredible for searching out Lord because you're going second, I play Magical Contactor. So it searches for a level 7 or a level 8 dark monster. So you could search Levianeer too. You give a spell to your opponent's hand. What's beautiful about this in Cubics is you give them useless spells that they can't use that you normally didn't even have like the requirements for it to be good enough in your hand anyways. And the same thing with Super Poly. If you couldn't Super Poly your opponent, you can just give it to them, and it don't matter if you're going to kill them anyways. But we're playing Super Poly because even though this deck does summon Lord and you can, like, you know, Lord's pretty nice, you don't always get that, and sometimes you can just OTK with Super Poly. And also breaking through those really ridiculous boards, it's a lot easier with this card. And against Salamagrates, you don't want them to rage or roar you, especially because the rage could just pop your Lord, and that's just that's it. He's not unaffected by that, so you just gotta use this. 3 call buys to make sure that Duja actually goes through, and make sure that they don't Asher Goods. Once they realize how good Goods is in this deck, pun intended, right? 2 Twin Twisters, because again, Lord really does get crippled by back row, and discard for cost is actually incredible. You can unbrick your hand with this and get some cards engraved that needed to be there, and you can start comboing off. For the traps, I play 3 copies of Unification. This trap's insane. You never really activate it to fusion. Summoning this card is just not a great idea going second, because you need to use 3 Lords, and you'd rather use those to OTK. This card's graveyard effect is what makes it so broken, and you want 3. Anytime your Cubic leaves the field, you get to banish it to summon a Cubic from deck. It's incredible. You normal Duja and just dump this, and like you already have, like, it's crazy. All you need is, like, for example, a Goods. If you open Duja plus Goods, that's a 2-card combo that can end you on like so many different cards, especially Unchained Abomination, or, you know, Oppo for 2 is terrible. I would recommend that. You can even summon the Topologic Bomber Dragon or Zeroboros, and your opponent would have to play around that. So you have some form of interaction going first. And I played 2 casualties again, so you can have some form of interaction going first. This card's actually really good. If you play against combo decks, you can just give them cubic counters, and like I said, a monster with cubic counters is pretty useless. Graveyard effects, like both effects, honestly, this card's just good. Like, it distributes, you know, and then its graveyard effect's incredible too. Like, it's just a really, really good card. Honestly, it's good support. Like, this and Dharma are good support. Now for the extra deck, I play 1 Anima, so that when you open Vijam, he can actually do something. You can eat a monster, and that might just clear the way for the OTK. I might play Every Nightmare. This is a proxy unicorn. Griffin, you can end on it. Just make sure that you have another monster to summon him, like, to where he points to something. Because even he himself is affected by his own effect. So if he ain't linked, he's not doing anything either. Decode, so that, again, you can have protection for your Lord, so that you can negate those imperms and stuff like that. You won't always open service. And imperm's the most popular, one of the most popular counters to the Lord, because, you know, it's a staple hand trap, and you don't ever want Lord to get impermed. Borload, so that you can run over cards that Lord can't attack over, and you might not always open Wave. We have Oppo. You don't want to do Oppo for 2, but if you open an extra card, like, this deck doesn't necessarily have like great extenders, but if you open an extender, you can do Oppo for 3, and it's honestly better than nothing. 1 copy of Abomination. This is like one of my favorite link 4s ever. I play all the Topos because you can end on any of them. This is incredible in this deck. It's a really, really good card, because this deck really struggles against back row. Lord can deal with monsters, but back row is what hurts him. So if you are able to pave the way for the OTK with this, and it does burn, there's no problem. Because when you do the Duja combo, looping the traps, you'll summon a Duja to this zone, and then it'll just banish everything, and you'll get to burn, and then summon Lord, attack, and then do more burn damage. Then I play 2 Super Poly targets. This is just really good because Shaddoll invokes a thing. This is incredible. Even if you play pins and they have Vortex plus Endymion, you can super poly that away. This is for Salad, so that they can't use their trap, or if they do have Rage, then they have to target with Rage, which means I can use Ceruvis to negate it. So then it's like, it's easier. And then Dweller, because you can actually just use Summoner Monk to summon out a Duja and then just make a Dweller. Yeah, that's the deck profile, you guys. This deck doesn't have the most incredible combos, but I guess I could show you. Let me check. 13 minutes. Yeah, I guess I could show you like a semi-decent combo. It's not the best, but it's better than nothing. And it sets you up for Levianeer, which is also incredible too, because Levianeer is incredible in this deck, honestly. So Monk plus a spell. The ideal spell, obviously, would be like a cubic spell, so let's say like Dharma or Karma. Either one would be fine. It doesn't matter which one specifically. Just one of them, so you can have like some form of decent recursion. So you just normal summon Monk. It's mandatory to go to defense. Discard Dharma. Special Duja from your deck. And then Duja's effect is going to go ahead and send a cubic card. So you're going to burn through your unifications for this combo. And you can dump Casualty because it has, you know, a decent graveyard effect too. You banish it, then target cubic monster you control. It destroys monster by battle. And you get to burn. You know, that's how you do massive burn damage with your Crimson Nova. because you can just like do burn off of that and burn on in-phase. But anyways, send that, and then you're gonna go ahead and link these two into a link 2. I don't have Masquerena, so you know that would be an ideal one, so that you don't even have to continue. But you'll just summon the Phoenix, and then banish this because Cubic Monster left the field. You're gonna banish it. You're gonna summon another copy of Duja. And when you summon Duja, you're gonna use Duja to send Unification from your deck to your grave. And then you're gonna go ahead and link these two into a link 3. I would recommend not using Unicorn, so you can go into like Decode, for example. Then you're gonna banish Unification, and you're gonna summon another copy of Duja. And you're gonna use Duja to go ahead and send another copy of Unification. And then you're gonna link the Duja and that into your link 4, which I would say go for Bomber at this point. Go for Bomber or Abomination, it totally depends. But honestly, I would go for Bomber because he's a little bit more interactive by himself. Your opponent has to play around him if they play links. And then you're going to banish this. And the Cubic Monster summoned off of this trap can't be destroyed by battle or card effects that turn. So what you're going to do is you're going to summon out this bad boy right here. You don't have to trigger Bomber because it's not going to destroy it anyways. But you just summon him out. You know, banish the Dharma. And you can go ahead and add Duja back so you actually have a Duja for a follow-up if you want to. Or you could just leave the Dharma there. It's just any cubic spell is just better than a regular spell, honestly. And the 3 Dujas being there is perfect so that if this gets sent from the field to the grave, you'll summon back all 3 copies of Duja, and you'll get to search a Cubic Lord, and you'll trigger the Bomber. It's just really, really nice. Like, it's a great setup, but it's the best setup the deck has, and it's really not that impressive because it doesn't put up any negates. And the interactive play that it sets up is not that hard to play around if your opponent's a good player. So, like I said, the deck is definitely like tier 3 or below. Even in the hands of the best player in the world, this deck suffers from its own in-art type weaknesses, and that's just the truth. But thank you guys so much for watching the profile. God bless you. Make good choices. Don't hurt your brain cells. Stay tuned for future content. And you guys will definitely be hearing from me soon. I'm going to say a quick prayer. If you don't want to stick around for the prayer, just end the video. But you don't have to like dislike or leave any hate comments or anything. Our Father which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name, Jesus. Thy kingdom come, and thy will be done on earth, just as it is in heaven. Please give us this day our daily bread, Lord, and please forgive us of our debts, as we forgive our debtors. And lead us not into temptation, Father, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, the glory, and the power forever. In the mighty name of Jesus, I pray. Thank you, Yahweh. Amen. Deuces is wild, y'all.